I'm pretty confident there. And Bequiet, though, kicking things off with that N'Zoth control mage and Glaser on his custom Dragon Priest, I'm going to call it from now, with the Bone Mare, as you can see, as one of the standout cards in this list, I would say.
And the Skulking Guys in every single deck.
Yeah.
We talked about that extensively with Subtle 2 matches ago when Glaser was playing. It does affect the way people are even playing against him, even without playing the Skulking Guys. We have seen Orange just, changing his strategy, playing the cards that he would have usually just kept in his, keep in his hand for a certain amount of time, and then just go for all-in play later on for an OTK, an example, with his Priest, when the fact that someone has a Skulking Guys changes the entire strategy. So now, how important is that against Bequiet? Well, it's not really that impactful. An example, against this Control Mage, there's not a single one-mana spell, so it doesn't really change the way that Bequiet will be approaching this particular matchup. And it's also different because of the fact that, well, Glaser doesn't really play his own combo with the Inner Fire because he plays the Skulking Guys.
Yeah.
So the entire matchup revolves more around being honest with his minions, more like arena-based game where he just wants to grind out or be aggressive with, high HP minions that will just get that damage in every single turn.
Yeah, also Bequiet's big priest only really has pint-sized potion that gets punished by. It's not like a lot of the other priests, as you mentioned, like for oranges, where you have to worry about those inner fires just disappearing from the deck. So you actually have to get those out relatively early, and earlier than you'd like to. But in this matchup, it's still all about how much value and control Bequiet can put on the board, because suddenly, as opposed to some of the other matchups, this Dragon Priest can just drop massive minions on the board. Bequiet does have access to polymorphs and meteors. Perfect, good timing. But suddenly, Flame Strike, a middling Dragon's Fury, might not get the job done, actually, as it does normally versus the more aggressive decks.
Yep, that is correct. And we have also seen Bequiet whiffle twice.
Yes.
With the Dragon's Fury getting that ice block twice in a row. That was kind of dramatic, but at the same time, he managed to get there, get that third win, and secure his position in the semifinal. So here he is, playing against Glaser right now. And one of those guys will go into the grand final of HCT Germany, the first one in Europe.
Yeah, really big deal as well. There are a lot of points on the line for the HCT season, and it really is extra layers. Points were very important last year to qualify for playoffs, but now it's qualifying for playoffs. It's contributing to potential team points in the long run, I mean, and also it's Masters points to join that Masters club next year once the new year comes around. So it's a real big deal for all of these players to get as many points as possible. And I think guys are off to a great year.
Being in the Masters club, quote unquote, is not as important as when it comes to the financial gains that it gives you for the next year. It's more about the prestige.
Right, literally one of the best players in the world.
It's you can argue that it's practically the same as winning, a very major tournament, and you're winning it because you want the title. You want
100%.
You want that hype behind your name that you're a champion, or it's not about Dr. Disrespect here, but it's about the fact that you had achieved something that is out there on the paper, and when it comes to the master tiers, that's a status for an entire year.
Yes. Yeah, it's a real big deal for all these players. Let's see now, 7 damage available here for Glaser. And does have some nice follow-up as well. Operative. I do feel like this deck of Glazers doesn't really have many whiff turns, or dramatically less potential for whiff turns, as there isn't so much reliance on crazy combos. It's more just solid minion after solid minion after solid minion and trying to just pound their opponent down.
That is correct. By the way, how buff is that Arcane Artificer?
Almost as buff as you.
Nah, man, this guy, he's on steroids, 100%. Look at that bulging biceps. Even Trauma Falsier has nothing on that guy.
He just lifts. I'm sure it's all legitimate.
I'm guessing he just skips the legs day.
Well, yeah, because he's not getting legs. That might be the main issue there.
And still just one attack. He's like, what?
It's because when he attacks, he kicks. It's like, I trained the wrong part. Okay, well, there's a lot of power on the board and out for Glaser. And Bequiet very quickly now has to work out exactly what's going on with his removal and how to utilize it. He could even go for a Blizzard just to remove this Talon Priest and then set up for a bit of a better meter going forward. But instead he's saying you can keep all that Twilight Drake. He knows there is no big combos coming out. There isn't the Inner Fire and Divine Spirit that we keep talking about. So a move like this is a lot safer against Glaser than it is versus some of the other players that have been in this tournament.
Yeah, but at the same time, I'm kind of surprised that, because he has Dragon Fury in his hand, he didn't opt to Meteor the Twilight Drake because there's a huge chance that the Dragon's Fury will just outright kill the Dragon's Operative, while with the Twilight Drake, you actually need to hit the second Flame Strike copy.
Yeah, or you require like Dragon's Fury and then something on top.
Yeah, like
as
ping,
well as
right?
Fury,
But
yeah.
it depends what do you go for. Because like an example, Dare to Red and Dragon's Fire is a nice combo. Then you just most likely kill whatever's in your opponent's hand for 2 mana, right?
Yeah.
Ooh,
Nice on Geist action.
ooh, baby.
That's definitely one of the weird choices in Glacer's list. Just the Shadow Priest.
Well, he plays double Twilight Acolytes, right? Let me check, actually.
Yeah, so he can switch and steal. Oh no, he plays one, doesn't he?
Trying to find it, but I'm looking on Mage and I'm like confused a little bit. No, double. Double
I see.
Twilight Acolyte, and that's also important because he plays 1 Potion of Madness, so he can have double combos, right? He can do Twilight Acolyte, Potion of Madness for that guy, or he can just do Twilight Acolyte, couple Shadow Priest.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not as powerful as it is in the combo version, because in the combo version you can just go for that Acolyte, then Potion of Madness and then Fire.
We saw it earlier on Alex
Yep.
Straza.
That is correct.
But still nice value play. And all can help setups for the Bone Mare on turn 8. Glacer now just working out exactly what he wants to drop out. It looks like it's going to be Coin Bone Mare. Just to get it live now. Kind of opposite from...
Pre-nerf!
Opposite... Turn 7 Bone... what are you on about? Pre-nerf was turn 6. But this is kind of the opposite of what we saw from Glacer. Yes, was it earlier on or yesterday? We've seen a lot of matches, but where he waited and waited and waited and waited with Bone Mare, and even he in the interview after he won was like, "Yeah, I think I held on to Bone Mare for way too long. I probably should have just got it on board, got the value there and then, and dealt with some other stuff afterwards." So looks like he is just going to coin it out and push. And already this is a lot of damage. The Ice Block is alive for Bequiet, but still there's a lot of damage on the board now.
We don't have the icon on the broadcast, but yes, Raven is correct. There is an Ice Block. It was played in turn 4. So now the Dragon Fury, well, it can clear the board if it hits one of the Meteors or one of the Blizzards. But he's going for a draw. That, whoa, was close. He actually plays double Ice Blocks in this deck, so it's more of a chance to actually get that Dragon's Fury to deal not a lot of damage.
And just as Glazer was talking about how he was playing his deck, Bequiet very recently said that, yeah, if he could go back, he'd probably just put 1 Ice Block in there. And not so much for the blowouts, but just because in such a control-dominated meta for this tournament, just 1 Ice Block is probably more valuable overall as opposed to 2. Frees up a slot in your deck, and you don't often need that second one with this control mage. What's this nice, though? Just going to slow that damage down. Get a bit more value out of the Ice Block going forward and potentially set up for a better Dragon's Fury or a Flame Strike, depending on how this board looks.
By the way, that plated Beetle wasn't really the best choice out of the Dragon Operative. I mean, in vacuum, right? So you wanted to have something way more powerful.
Sorry, I just randomly started choking. Yeah, you mean it was the best choice out of the 3 he had, but not the best outcome of the Operative. Yeah, I agree. Especially when you're looking at some of the cards, right?
You could have hit
even
Ice Block, an example, right? Which can give you that final push to play against someone that has their own Ice Blocks, right?
Yeah, Pyros, even Curator. You know, there are a lot of just overall higher value minions, especially in Bequiet's version.
And a minion like 2 mana, 2/3 doesn't really give that much push when your opponent plays a lot of removal.
I do like this Jaina from Bequiet though. Often, it is I find it very difficult, especially with Ice Block up, to find an excuse not to play Jaina on curve.
Yeah.
The board has to look very strange, or you are very behind if Jaina can't help you out here. So be quiet, just getting the Jaina down as early as possible. And now the ping numbers begin. What health is everything safe on? That's what Glaser has to think about every single turn now.
He has 19 damage this turn. So is there a way for him to try to push the damage through?
Well, I'm just looking at instantly the combo you discussed earlier and stealing that water elemental.
Mm-hmm.
There aren't many high attack minions in the deck.
Yeah, and
you stop the water elemental.
Exactly. It's not even about the freeze, it's more about the lifesteal as well.
It's more about the lifesteal, and the water elemental is a great tool to leverage the pings.
Mm-hmm.
You not often play around, say, 4 health, because water elemental hit ping.
That is correct.
So yeah, he is going to go for it. This is just a nice value play. It's a huge board, and suddenly we're just Raven there. You're looking at a Dragon's Fury, but that's unpredictable to work with the pings as well. This is just going to be a nice amount of damage, a nice amount of threat. And you see the water elemental lose the lifesteal buff, because that is a live aura from Jaina and only applies to one side of the board.
So what do you think about Beetle killing the Raven? Was it necessary?
I think at this point, what you got to think about is what AoE is left. Dragon's Fury,
But it can hit for minimum 4 because both ice blocks were either played or drawn.
Yeah. So I think what he's thinking about here is if he Dragon Furies, his water elemental that he's pinged to create the beetle might just die anyway or take tons of damage. Can he do something else a little bit more valuable? He chose to just not go for it. Oh. These aren't good either.
Yeah, that's even worse than the plated beetle. Blizzard might stop the elementals from attacking for 1 turn.
It's probably the best value you're going to get from these choices. The Archaeologist is a 2-mana 2/3, so that goes out the window straight away.
Well, at least can it be played with Bone Mirror during the same turn.
Oh, okay.
You need another minion right now on the board because you need to push for lethal.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, even this turn? Interesting. I mean, he keeps the Twilight Drake for the synergy with dragons.
Yeah.
So.
What I will say is your game plan is to not let him have elementals.
Mm-hmm.
So picking an AoE is like planning for the worst, as opposed to a proactive play that makes your situation better. And this does prot the block, actually, with this Bone Bear.
Yeah.
So really nice play, actually. I would have thrown away the Archaeologist instantly, and I would have been a very dumb human being, as this has actually just opened up a block. And yes, Bequiet has plenty of stuff to do, right? He's got another block, he's got Dragon's Fury, he's got the hit from the Elemental, but you've got rid of 1 ice block so far. And it looks like the secrets are actually being used the wrong way around in terms of the graphic, so I apologize for that. The ice block is procced,
well,
so now that the ice block is procced, the secret is gone and not live. So we'll get that removed in a minute.
It will be another secret play this turn? No.
Yeah, there we go. Oh yeah, just see the future, and he's like, I was going to play secret, click. But yeah, sorry about that, guys, but we're on it. And now this is where it gets dicey for Glaser.
This is the shift in the power on the board, right?
Yep. There was the clear.
Priest can be... Oh, man.
The old 10-mana pass.
Never gets old.
Yep.
Bequiet can be on 2 HP, 3 HP, whatever. If the priest cannot use his potion of badness to push for damage, that's only burst charge damage that he can do.
Mm-hmm. And there's actually like 0 direct damage from him, even if there was something obviously been used already, but from an operative, right?
Yeah.
There's literally nothing that deals out of hand damage from Bequiet's deck.
Well, if we were to get a Sintragosa and then a charge minion out of a Sintragosa.
Yeah, but you'd be prepared for that, right? Because you'd see the Sindragosa be played, then the one would go. But yeah, that could happen. What? I don't know. Because it's all legendaries from Sindragosa, right?
Yeah, well, you can have
what?
legendary charge.
Leroy, Grom.
The Devil's Czar, but then it would have to
King
hit a
Crush.
minion first. So, unless you... No, you cannot.
Yeah.
Never mind.
There's the Hunter legendary. King Crush, 9 mana, 8/8 charge, yeah. Okay, well, there's some, but it doesn't matter. Glaser did lose the game. He lost the board, and you lose the game. That's often how it goes versus Control Mage. So be quiet. Another victory under his belt in game number 1. But still has a few more games to play out if he wants to take down Glaser and move on to the finals to face Hunter Ace.
Both of the Warlocks are banned, so here he would have to proceed with the Priest or the Paladin. I'm guessing he seems like a big fan of the Big Priest. Like during the last interview,
Oh, yeah.
he was pointing out like, yo, I hit the
Big Priest good, by
bounce
the
with
way.
Shadow
Yeah.
Essence and so on, but still kicks ass.
Yeah, and I know Bequiet's had a solid squad of not necessarily direct teammates, but those as well, but like friends that he plays with, some of the more known German players. And, you know, they, from my understanding, each person who prepared him with his lineup and practice with him has different specialities in terms of like aggro, weird kind of wacky off the wall decks, you know, control decks, and then like just general lineup advice. So he's had a very strong, solid squad around him to help him get to this point. HCT Germany, it seems to be paying off so far, and I generally think this Big Priest is just a scary deck at the moment. There's not really many things that can, beat it on average.
I think like Big Priest might be one of the best decks to go into unknown metagames. Because it doesn't really rely on specific cards of your opponents. Like, you need just answers against aggro decks, and those are usually the same. You just want AoE damage and maybe direct removal. Mass removal will be the best. So, an example, Shadow Ward Horror Pen Size Potion, right? And then you don't really care about the removal of your opponent because you are all about resilience in form of resurrections. That means if your minion gets killed, well, too bad. You just play Spellstone or Servitude and you get that minion back. So you don't really care what type of control decks other people are playing because you are greedier than them. Always, by default.
It's the second time today we've seen Yashiraj and Bequiet's hand quite early on.
Let's see if that Shadow Essence will bring a Barnes again.
Oh, this could be tricky, though. That's something I didn't consider until now. The Acolyte Cabal Steel on some of the Big Priest minions. That could change the game, actually.
Can work on an Obsidian pretty well, because then it kills another big minion. So
Lich King, Ysera, and Yashiraj all do things.
Yep.
Also, even with Obsidian, if he steals and uses the Potion of Madness, before Geist, of course, then he can like trade an Obsidian into something, maybe kill it off and kill another minion.
Hoarding Dragon, I'm actually thinking that might be a viable choice. You can mill a card for your opponent if it's at 8. Jokes aside, I just think it's a big body that might be hard to remove.
Yeah, the only worry is Big Priest only gets better with coins. Right, we saw I think me and Salt were casting earlier, and Hoarding Dragon was a choice against Odymion's Control Warrior. So, well, what does Control Warrior really do with coins? It doesn't change too much, right?
It doesn't get transferred into board control.
Yeah, or lethal. You know, it just doesn't. Whereas Big Priest can get to their big minions, their bigger impact spells quicker. So, although it would have been reasonable, we can see that it would have been punished by death very easily.
Yeah,
you play death, you gain 2 coins and remove the minion.
There's the Shadow Vision, which can help with to get an example in Circle of Healing if you really need that AoE.
Probably going to fish for Essence, right?
He has 1 Essence already. That Spellstone wouldn't be bad because it's like a terrible Servitude for the first, play.
And he will be casting spells, before he casts the Spellstone because he has a lot of spells in hand now.
Yep. It all depends if that Shadow Essence actually has a good hit in form of...
Yeah, because then suddenly you want the second Essence if it whiffs.
Yeah.
But there is only the Barnes whiff, isn't there? Let's be honest. But although saying that, there is Ysera and Yashiraj already in hand, so there's 2 Obsidians, a Lich King, and Barnes left in the deck, I believe.
So, 75% to hit a decent minion.
I'll take those odds.
Too bad that actually Shadow Essence puts Obsidian statue into range of Shadow Ward Death. And Glaser plays a priest that has Shadow Ward Deaths, which is not typical for your dragon priests in general. but because of the slots that usually was taking the Divine Spirit Identifier combo, suddenly you have space for direct removal and just, tempo.
And because there's no big combos, you actually are very board focused. It's much more like older Dragon Priest. So having cheap tools that keep the board control in your favor is more important. It's going to be a nice heal pass. Which minions does he favor? The Pyromancer. It's his favorite. Here comes Shadow Essence number 1, and it's an Obsidian statue. Now the game begins for Bequiet.
But he has 2 removals. So if he goes for the Shadow Ward Death, in this case, then he still has silence for a second Obsidian statue. But then he loses a minion this turn.
I like the push this time. Because guess what? He might not have a way. He can't kill off his Obsidian this turn, more than likely. So then he can't res it.
That is correct.
So then there's no backup plan outside of that Shadow Essence. So looking back, Bequiet picking that Shadow Essence was actually incredibly important. And now, though, there's still the Barnes Wave opportunity. Never mind. No, there's not.
Oh! That is sick, because that brings you certainty of what you will hit. Either Obsidian Statues or Lich King.
If he hits the Lich King, that's kind of a whiff in itself, though.
That is correct.
Because it doesn't heal, and it's only a 5/5 taunt.
But there might be a chance that the opponent doesn't have the Shadow Ward Death, right? And then he has to sacrifice minions going into it. And that gets you basically heal.
That's 7 damage if he has to put 2 minions in. Now 4. So yeah, with the trade from the Obsidian statue, even Lich King looks pretty formidable right now.
But I'm thinking maybe there's an option to just use the Grating Healing Potion this turn. That's 14. You get 9, 10 plus 4. Yeah, exactly. Just stall.
Okay.
And then next turn, you might get your Obsidian statue killed and then play Servitude.
It's such a shame Embrace the Shadows.
Wow.
Is 2 mana.
Another silence. Well, that's a key draw.
That's actually incredible. Yeah, double silence.
Because now the plan that Bequiet might have in his mind right now with the Eternal Servitude for next turn, this might crumble because of the second silence. And when you have seen one silence being played already, you don't expect the second one to come up in 11 cards.
Yeah, this might actually end up being checkmate here. Because there's also a cute play of Embrace the Shadows, trade hero power your own Obsidian and res. But yeah, like you said, it's actually not going to cut it, to be honest. And yeah, we found the deck that beats Big Priest. Double silence, Dragon Priest.
This is why I was thinking about the Circle of Healing from his Shadow Vision. Because then Embrace the Shadows and the Circle of Healing not only kills your own minion, but also, clears your opponent minions.
Yeah, that's true. Definitely a hard choice, though, because it was before he played the Shadow Essence, right? The first one.
Yes.
Because it's like...
But he was already facing like 3 minions on board.
Yeah. That's true. He's going to go for it as well. It isn't lethal, though.
It's not. And then next turn, Shadow Essence has to be played unless...
Oh, wait, he's got coin. He could just steal it.
Oh my god, you're right.
Sometimes I am, in fact, right. Yeah, surely you steal that, right?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Because then you beat a Lich King, you beat a Yashiraj, or, whatever.
That is just too good to pass.
And what are you saving the coin for at this late in the game? It has to be this turn. Because then you have silence for another res next turn, and then you just kill him. You've already seen one great potion of healing.
That is just too good to pass on.
Also, it doesn't use a spell, which doesn't damage your own board.
Double damage.
Oh, it doesn't use a spell. It uses the coin,
yeah, but
it doesn't use an additional spell. Oh, it's going to go for silence.
Interesting.
So, now...
Why would that be? Like, there's no way for the Big Priest to actually kill that Obsidian statue next turn. I'm struggling to find a reason.
Is it so? You can
That's a good
to
pickup, by the way.
Obsidian statue number 2. Or number 3 at this point. No, because you still have silence. Huh.
Maybe. Well, it kind of makes sense against Psychic Scream, but not really.
I like where you're going with this, Lothar.
I would really love to hear why.
Yeah.
Why did he do that? You know, so
You know, it's even funnier because often this comes up where I'm like, I don't get it. Why didn't you do this? And someone will have like said in Twitch chat or tweeted me, it's like, this is why. I'm like, oh, of course. But I'm genuinely surprised that there wasn't just that. Just looked like a great steal.
Yeah,
there, an absolutely great steal.
All right, now both players have access to spellstones.
That's kind of funny. Hey, you could have spellstoned a potentially an obsidian statue on Glaser's side of the board.
Mm-hmm.
Not anymore. So I imagine this is going to be Yashiraj. You guaranteed a taunt.
But Barnes at the same time is good tempo play. Shadow Essence is decent as well.
Yeah, you're also guaranteed a taunt this way actually, and you remove the operative.
I think he would still prefer to have another Obsidian statue, just to have the lifesteal for the next turn to get, in a comfortable situation.
I'm generally wondering what Glacer's waiting for with this combo. Steal the Lich King.
Maybe Sean.
It doesn't have taunt though. You've got your opponent on 8 health. And also as well with the Lich King, you could do what Bequiet's done and just get Frostmourne. That's 15 damage. And you end up resurrecting the minions you kill with it. So I don't know. I'm looking forward to finding out the reasoning for holding on to this combo for so long is. Knowing me, I'm probably missing something, but I'm excited to find out what.
And imagine that being an Obsidian statue.
Mm-hmm.
Circle of Healing. That's always decent.
Barnes could be another Lich King.
This time it's an Obsidian statue. If it would be just the other way around, Obsidian statue for the 5/5 and Lich King for the 1/1.
Sure. Now look at this turn. Because now you probably want to steal the Obsidian statue with Cabal. Because if we saw Glaser then hovering over the Spellstone, one of those minions dies, guaranteed, and it could be a Nether Spite.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it feels kind of bad. So and without being able to proc this Duskbreaker to just try and clear up some of this board or clear the Obsidian at least, there's not much you can do. He's going to go for the Spellstone. Wow,
that's not bad.
Pretty good. Yeah, I was going to say that could have been way worse. He's going to spread his threats here, spread as much health as possible, so the Obsidian can't really clear too much. Huh. Well, now you can just Dragonfire, right?
That clears the entire board, yes. Yeah. But I'm thinking maybe Frostmourne is just better. You can get access to Pyromancer, which is neat. Your deck is almost entire spell-based.
You could actually just Frostmourne and... oh, no, because you run... Yeah. If you run the Obsidian statue in first, you have the risk of Frostmourne actually killing off the operative.
I mean, this is a really good way of cleaning the board, but at the same time, it's important to get to know that there's a Pyromancer hidden in that Frostmourne, and that can help with multiple minions that your opponent will play at some point. Because it does help with the Shadow, Embrace the Shadows and Circle of Healing, because then it's actually 6 damage of AoE, right?
Okay, this is the true test of this combo now with the Acolyte.
Has to be, right?
Well, if it's not now, I'm genuinely baffled.
But at the same time, now your opponent has an Obsidian statue on the board, and...
Got nothing for you, Lothar. But you do have a... Wait, is he going to now steal the Obsidian and say, let your Yashraj draw out your hand? Okay. So he gets a 10 attack Twilight Acolyte, steals the Obsidian with the potion The pint-sized potion, sorry. And says, well, whatever, have your Yashiraj because you run out of minions to even draw at this point with it. It's a 2/10. Can be resurrected with Spellstone as a 10/10, though.
Well, now also the Dragonfly Potion clears everything, including the Ishar.
But at least it's in the bank then, right? For
Yeah.
Spellstone, for example.
Yes.
And you just hard slam. You can hard slam your Sarah the turn after. Also, if he Dragonflies first, he can gain back an Obsidian statue. How about that? You don't put the Barns into the Obsidian. You take 4, but at 6, you can't die.
What about... You can go Embrace the Shadows, trade the Barns in, Circle of Healing, use your...
What do you want to steal with Frostman? The Obsidian has to be the choice. Because now he's on 8. Like, nothing kills him. And next turn, he swings a Frostman at anything, and at worst, gets a Wild Pyro and an Obsidian statue. Seems pretty good to me. And can still play your Sarah.
Yeah, that's pretty sick, actually.
And now, I mean... Now it doesn't matter, to be honest, what Glaser does. This next turn is too strong for Bequiet. It's too much of a turn. It's effectively a 20-mana turn. Or 21-mana turn, if you count the Pyro for 2.
And he also has a Spellstone. But it doesn't really matter now. Like this is the 4th Obsidian statue.
I want to say 4th, yeah. Just swing.
One was 1/1, but that doesn't really matter. It's the 4th one that now we're probably going to stick to the board, and then when it sticks, then the priest suddenly becomes...
Oh, wait, though. Glaser stole 1. So it died on his side of the board, so that doesn't count. So it's the 3rd in the bank.
Okay.
But still, it's 3.
But it's what 4th would
yeah.
play.
I'd be quite seeing both Silence and the Cabal Shadow Priest now. And the pint-sized potion. Is Obsidian's as safe as it's ever going to be at this point.
So he wants to steal the Skulkengeist with his first Mortar turn?
Oh, circle. Just circle hero power. Just kill it. Swing. Oh, no, he's stealing it. Okay, he's that. Yeah, he can't die, so... Next turn he heals for 4. I quite like this, actually. Good recognition of your opponent's deck. Or knowledge of the deck. Yep. Oh, Eloise.
Snap
Go for the pack.
For the pack. Is there a chance he will not hit it? I don't think so. Because he shouldn't have
you got it?
Yeah.
Is it too little too late, though? What has to come out of this, Elise?
Well, he needs mass removal. Or direct damage. Direct damage is the play. 2 mana, 4 damage. What can you get? Is there something like that? Well, he got another copy of Shadow Vision.
So, for example, he could have got the Kalimos with a Fire Elemental, for example, to deal 6 to face.
That would have been amazing.
But that would take next turn.
Yeah. So he would have to
and
play...
you out-heal it with Obsidian.
If he recognizes that out, how much is Kalimos? 9 mana?
Yeah. He couldn't get it, though. Oh, no, it's 8.
You would have to... It's 8. Then it's possible. You play the Volatile Elemental this turn.
But he didn't get Kalimos from the pack.
But you have pack next... never mind.
Yeah, if you draw the pack again, yeah. But the problem is the Obsidian attacks, right?
Yeah, then
so it goes to 8. Yeah, so I was just thinking of things that can go face from Ungoro packs.
Gonna be pretty tough.
And bye-bye, little snail. I mean, to be honest, I'm pretty sure Bequiet could just trade the Obsidian into Snail to kill the Elise and play another Obsidian. I think he's in such a strong position it doesn't matter too much now.
You can just play the Spellstone for 2 minions right now. It's good enough. It's gonna get him most likely another Obsidian statue.
Can do this as well. As long as he attacks with that Obsidian statue, he's getting even safer than he already was.
You can heal it too. I think healing the Obsidian statue out of range of random to attack, or
Dustbreaker.
Dustbreaker. Yes, it's more important than healing phase.
I think, does he ever lose if he heals face, though? Because you're still scared about what those Angora pack has in it.
8 damage is hard to do for the face.
But you know he stole a pack from his deck, so he's got another pack left. And he could potentially steal again. So, in combination with multiple cards, I think you just go as safe as possible. Oh god, Eternal Servitude as well.
Well, now he just goes for the spell into Spellstone, because now the Spellstone is actually worth the maximum.
Nice.
And that resurrects...
Oh, no.
Oh.
It's not, it's 3. No taunts, though. This is the punish for... Oh, sorry, yeah, Lich King's still... Oh, my... I actually forgot Lich King's
but
still in the deck.
no Obsidian Statue, that's actually a big deal. The fact that he stole Pyromancer and Skull King guys, now it's kind of weird.
Oh, he didn't go for the pack.
Well,
because he's probably dead.
Yeah, he has to deal with some of those minions,
Well, he has the Acolyte. You can take 8 attack off the Yetraj with the Acolyte. It's still a lot of damage, don't get me wrong.
So well, he knows that Ishar will not pull anything else.
Yeah.
So it will be just a 2/10 minion.
I'm warning you. I'm unstable.
I'm unstable.
I knew that already.
You knew what he said?
You said you are unstable.
Ah. Ha 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 ha.
And another Lich King. Well, now he can just go silence on the Ishar, then deal 10 damage to the face.
That's okay to me.
Sounds good. And Death Coil. The first time I saw the spoiler and I didn't know how, Death Knight cards work. I
You
saw
thought Death Coil was a
and I'm
card.
like, what?
It's a good card.
Yeah.
Very similar to Admirable. Thought, the living mana token
Mm-hmm.
was just a card. 2 mana, 2/2, gain a mana crystal on death. He was like, oh my god, I love Druid, this is insane. And then we realized it's from living mana.
I
So
think
think on the
loves broken cards.
I think on the announcement, or at least the one we saw, it showed the living mana minion first, and then
really?
showed living mana.
Oh,
so
okay.
you naturally look at it and you're like, oh, it's just a minion. That's like mega ramp for Druid. It's wild growth with a 2/2 attached to it. What?
Yeah.
And then we're like, oh, okay, it's living
But
mana.
it has to die, so it has a downside. But yeah.
I would take that downside.
I think every single class would play that card.
Oh, yeah, that's absolutely insane. But Bequiet goes 2-0 up.
Now
over
he has to
Glaser.
win with his Control Paladin. Well, actually, sorry.
No,
that's
it's
a Murloc
Murloc,
Paladin. Yeah. Control Paladin is on the other side of the board for Glaser.
Glaser does have a lineup that does relatively well versus aggro. He's got his control paladin, he's got his mage, and the priest that we just saw. And the help of Dustbreakers really would get some work done there, along with the double wild pyromancer. But it's only going to take one for Bequiet. It's only going to take one strong Murloc opening, one strong push, one strong buff, one strong Megasaur.
Mm-hmm.
And we might be looking at our second finalist in the form of Bequiet. But Glaser still has fight in him. And I'm sure he has the ability to get it done. But is that going to happen? Let's find out.
Reverse sweep needs to happen, and that means every single class needs to be checked.
Paladin versus Paladin. And that is a pretty reasonable opening.
Now let's see if Glaser gets a good answer. No Relying Blade.
Call to Arms is great, though. Call to Arms evens up a matchup like this in a very unfair fashion, in my opinion. When a control deck plays Call to Arms, it's insane.
But having the Blessing of Kings available on turn 3 is nothing to scoff on.
Nope. What I mean by evening it up, we've seen Control Paladin actually hold board versus a Murloc Paladin, like have the same amount or more minions, mainly because they had Call to Arms and their opponent didn't. And your Call to Arms in things like Dirty Rats and Loot Hoarders, which overall as singular minions better than a singular Murloc.
Yeah.
Also, even Eldar Peacekeeper this early on keeps anything too crazy happening in check. The Blessed of Kings, like you said. The Tide Caller, if it gets too big for its boots. You can just
The
bring
problem
it
with the
back down
tide
to
call
one.
is just it keeps growing after that, especially with Inquisitor being already in play. That is kind of awkward, but I think you kind of need to do it now. Because next turn you want to play Call to Arms, like 100%, right?
Yeah.
So that means if you play a Peacekeeper this turn, you get the Tidecaller to one attack. You might get a second Dirty Rat from the Call to Arms, and that is a pretty good defense line against the board currently.
And the thing is as well, you know if you played Stonehill there, the Stonehill gets ate by the Tidecaller because at minimum Bequiet can press hero power and buff it. There's no requirement of a Murloc in hand there. I do like the trades in though.
Well, Glaser does play Consecration twice in his deck.
Ooh, no Dirty Rat.
No Dirty Rat, but still, a Pyromancer is also great.
It's nutty, this card though, right? All Glaser did was, play a minion to just keep this board down a bit. And then suddenly, one card later, he has a Plated Beetle, a Loot Hoarder, and a Wild Pyromancer. At minimum, the Wild Pyromancer needs to be answered.
The fact that it can pull out Loot Hoarder makes the card ultimately always insane, unless you just don't pull anything because you drew them first, right?
Yeah.
Because it just cycles. So you get a minion that trades in or just deals damage to some minion, then it cycles.
It's like drawing 4 cards, right? Because
insane.
Call to Arms draws 3 and plays them, and then Loot Hoarder draws +1.
You can kind of make a comparison to Mad Scientist.
Yeah.
It plays those cards. It doesn't really draw them. It actually plays them. So there's 6 mana card for a 4 mana card. It doesn't give you maybe you can actually decrease the amount by 2 mana because you didn't play a body. So it's like one body was that card built in.
Sure, and you can hit 1-drops, but yes, the way you build it in control is a little bit different. To get the Divine Shield, which means that Pyromancer can be cleaned off whilst keeping hold of this Hydrologist. And now the Tidecaller is also protected behind the Divine Shield, so this is getting a little bit tricky for Glaser to try and actually deal with all of these minions in a fashion. Priority probably going towards Tidecaller, then the Megasaur, then the Hydrologist. But now he does have Pyro into equality as an emergency no-switch. It's just Stonehill Beetle, okay? Depends on what you get from Stonehill.
I don't know. I like Peacekeeper this turn. Peacekeeper, Plated Beetle.
I think Stonehill might be better. Stonehill might make your taunts a little bit better going forward. You can plan a bit further ahead. And also, all it does is make them play more stuff onto the board. And then you just go for the Pyro quality clear.
Not
Maybe
sure about
even
they
Dirty
play more stuff on the board because your opponent still has access to weapons that are, a factor that doesn't really apply into the Pyromancer quality combo.
Well, I suppose in the same fact, like this makes more minions be played onto the board as well because you're currently looking at 4 power.
Yeah.
3 minions on the board, which isn't that great.
The Pyromancer quality is like the last insurance for Glaser, especially since it's so high on health, 23. He's not really worried about the board state, and still with 2 Plated Beetles on the board, so he can just draw out the Paladin.
Okay, I like. So you got double Stonehill now.
I would guess so.
I'm a fan of just putting like speed bumps in the way of minions.
I mean, that would really make sense also with the Dirty Rat.
Yeah.
Right? You have access to a complete obliteration, not only of the board, but also one card of your opponent's hand, which gives you so much information, right? Even if you don't pull out a card, that gives you a lot of information.
Oh, yeah, massive. You know that their on-board follow-up outside of a Call to Arms is going to be very minimal. It's an interesting choice, though, because Glaser's running the Zoth. So how much do you consider Abomination? You've got to just look at the Death Rattle choices. I think I would lean towards Righteous Protector, because a lot of the times that 1/1 taunt with Divine Shield is as good as a much larger taunt, because it soaks up more hits. But you still have to just think about the Death Rattle, because it's another taunt you can get back, and he did go for it as well. Full 2 damage across the board to everything, heroes and minions, and also the Death Rattle, so he gets another taunt on the Zoth turn.
So I'm guessing even if something will survive the turn from Glaser, he will just go for the clear with the pyramids. Or just maybe, what about just Abomination on the board? It's
Yeah.
actually pretty decent as well. Unless a second Megazord will happen with a Divine Shield. That can be a little bit disastrous. Still not that much damage, apart from that 6 from the Hydrologist with the Blessing of Kings. But this is so tempting, and the
Okay,
fact
yeah.
that he pulls out Finja is,
I think you clear now, yeah.
yeah, it's just heartbreaking for Bequiet.
Also, what this does as well, if you clear, you use 2 cards, which means your hand size is getting smaller for Divine Favor.
Good point.
So I feel like if you're using Dirty Rat and you see, especially because it's Finja, you're just removing outs from your opponent at this point now. So I really like this. Look at the follow-ups as well. He can just slam Geist if he's feeling a bit free. He can go Abomination into Weapon next turn if he really wants to remove a minion and drop that taunt onto the board. And Bequiet really looking for a call to arms here. Tarim can't even hero power and do it.
And it's such an awkward piece. Look at that. If you go for the Hero Power and Blessing of Kings this turn, Tarim next turn is awful.
Yep.
Ooh.
The only time it's good is that we know Tarim's in Glacer's hand. So if Glacer answered with a Tarim on the Blessed Kings, then you can Tarim that again and trade. But instead, Ragnaros the Light Lord. Live Insect. This feels like a Tarim turn.
That's a good swing, but still, will it be enough in the grand scheme of things?
Well, suddenly Abomination doesn't look too great.
Now not. But your own Sunkeeper Tarim is not that bad, especially one of those Relying Blades now getting some value.
But now Blessed Kings is better. Look, we just keep going back and forth.
It's an endless circle of violence.
It is, yeah. Everyone thinks Hearthstone's a nice, happy game, but it's ruthless.
Woo! And the Spikered Steed. Yeah, I value this way more than the Blessing of Kings.
Okay, now maybe you think
Now-
about Abomination.
Yeah.
You go Abomination, it does 2, and then you play Nazarth and Abomination again.
I think Bequiet didn't want to do it this way, but that was a nervous reaction, right? From Bequiet.
I think so. Is there a world in which he thought the Murloc goes to 7?
I think so.
Because that is not a nice trade. To like just tap Tarim and then let Tarim attack in again. Oh wow, this is going big. Go big or go home.
It's 13 damage to the dome.
Both
And
both
two
small
from the
minions
other
go.
one.
Oh no, okay, he's keeping the Murloc alive. Right, it's a, what, 13 push?
Yeah, plus 2 from
Okay.
Abomination, that's 15 this turn.
And then if Abomination comes down again, he can kill it on board because the Rallying Blade from Glacer can't get to the other Murlocs. So that's another 2 damage, and he can guarantee hit through the taunt.
So what does he get from the Zoff?
Just the only
the
thing that's relevant
Abomination,
is the
right?
Abomination.
That's the problem.
Because he gets
Plated
plated
beetles,
beetles,
yeah, but they
they
need to
don't
die.
die. So he has to go for the Spike Steed, which was a huge pickup.
And Tidecaller is definitely not a huge pickup.
He can clear this off and keep the Spike Ridge Steed minion pretty high on health, though. Because he can use the weapons if he really wants. And they die anyway if he trades. So you may as well put them into the 3-7 instead of the 2-6. Although he would keep an additional Murloc alive if he traded the other way around. If he put the taunt into the taunt and then put the 3 weapon and the 3 attack Murloc in. So he's now 1 Murloc down, but his Spike Ridge Steed Murloc is higher health. Oh wait, higher health? It's alive. Never mind. I thought the number was 2 there, not 1. That was 100% correct then. But now Abomination's better.
Yeah,
It's
Abomination is actually crucial.
This game's so nutty. Like, it's literally just back and forth every single turn.
So now Megazord from the top of the deck before Bequiet would be amazing. This doesn't
Doesn't
really
help.
change anything.
I'm like, nope, does nothing. And these beetles might just be a bit too much now that he's not instantly dead from this abomination.
So now we can kind of rewind to the moment where this Bequiet Steed was played.
Instead of the kings,
Yeah.
it made Tarim double trade in. Tarim could have only got one attack off in forms of Bequiet trading to Tarim. I do wonder if Bequiet went a little bit too fast there and miscounted the +1 from the rock pool. Oh, okay. This just keeps getting harder now. Hello, Primal Drake.
I don't think you can even play the War Leader with the state of the board. Your opponent has
It just dies,
play.
right?
Yeah. And he gets 6 armor from the Bladed Beetles. That's a good security as well. Equality and consecration allows to be a little more loose with whatever will happen on the board. You don't really, care about the consequences. You always have that possibility of just killing everything.
Yep, this is really nice. So we might even see a concede here from Bequiet. What, Divine Favor would help him out here?
With it, he is at 7 HP.
It's the most helpful card in his deck. Falcon's definitely not, though. Pretty sure that's going to be a concede. The victory is yours. Glaser does not go down without a fight. It's now 1-2 with Glaser there. And Bequiet maybe a little bit too hasty in the late stages of that game.
We'll really have to rewind to the turn with that Blessing of Kings and this Bequiet Steed. Because was he able to actually push for damage that turn? I think he was, right? If he went for the Blessing of Kings, and he was 9 mana, he could have played the Blessing of Kings, push through the Tarim, and that was the on taunt. And then he has still 1 more minion to push for the damage. That was additional 3.
Yeah, 3 damage. Yeah.
And the next turn, I don't remember the exact board state. It was interesting turn, to say the least.
Bequiet there, just taking a minute, I think, after that game. I think he thinks he might not have played as well as possible in that game there, so he's just taking a quick breather. Headset comes off as just 2 minutes. Like I said, these are long series and exhausting for the players, no doubt. And they're allowed a couple of minutes to relax. But yeah, I think the Spite Ridge went a little bit too fast because suddenly you Spite Ridge see the minion, rock pool it, and then trade once into time and pass and don't even kill it. I feel like the Blessing of Kings has to be better every time there.
The only way Spike Receipt would have been better was if he was worried about a clear from your opponent. Because then you get the Stegadon that attacks next turn, and you have something to play the Blessing of Kings on. So basically you deal for 6 damage next turn. So like second equality with Consecration or whatever else. That scenario would have been better. But I don't think that he was thinking about that scenario.
Yeah. Well, Glaser's still got his work cut out for him, though. He has to beat this Murloc Paladin a couple more times to be able to take this victory. And in case you're just tuning in for the last couple of series of the day and of the tournament, this is HCT Germany here at Take TV. Awesome event, and pretty much the kick-off for the tour stop majors that are going on throughout the year for Hearthstone. And pretty much all these players are here to generate and collect the HCT tour points, which is going to qualify them for playoffs, which is how they get into championships. Placing one in championships is how you get into world championships, which we just saw in Amsterdam recently, where Tom60229 is our current world champion. I'm looking forward to seeing what he does for the rest of the year.
Well, I'm guessing he will be pushing his limits, right? You have to iron it while it's hot.
Yeah. I think you have to put it all in, especially you representing Hearthstone at that point. When you become the world champion, it's awesome for that any given person. But you also have a responsibility as you're kind of representing competitive Hearthstone to the world at that point. So we'll see what comes out of Tom. But these are the guys that are chasing the next world championship. Bequiet versus Glaser. Looks like we're getting into the next game. I think Glaser did just step away for a second, maybe for a quick bathroom break. But we're all good to go now. It's going to be Glaser on his mage versus Bequiet, of course, on the only deck he has left to win with, which is the Murloc Paladin.
I would love to see a repeat world champion for Hearthstone.
It would be kind of nuts, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, Pavel nearly got to World Championships twice. Jason Joe has top 4'd twice in a row, which is incredible.
Insane.
Yeah.
And, the public perception of Jason Zoe is not really that great. I mean,
Which is strange, because
Yeah.
you look at the actual facts.
and it's like top 4 at the World Championships. That is absolutely insane.
with a game with tens of millions of players. It's like,
It's really crazy, and this is the problem with the fact that we didn't celebrate as players and viewers the top 8 in huge
Sure.
tournaments. People remembered winners of tournaments. People remembered that Firebird won the World Championships, that Osaka won. But usually they didn't remember who was even the second place, who was fighting in that final. And after 3 years, it's like players like Jason Zoe, he was twice in semifinals, and that's an incredible achievement. But people don't talk about him as much, right?
yeah, I think that's going to change though with the way the Hearthstone Championship Tour works this year because of the Masters program. If you're a top point Masters, then yes, you might have won a lot of tournaments, but you probably placed well a lot of the time as well as very high on ladder. But let's shift the focus back onto this game here as the Doomsayer into Doomsayer onto for Glaser is incredibly strong to just repel any openings that Bequiet can want here. And then there's option now that we've seen from Glaser. Don't need to slam that second Doomsayer in case you don't need to there. Ping into Tar Creeper into Doomsayer if he really wants as well. You could probably go for Doomsayer this turn though, right? Because it's a war leader.
Does he? Dark Creeper seems decent as well. The only problem would be a Megazord with... Actually, not even that problematic.
Well, plus attack leaves a 5/4 on the board, right? But that's as bad as it probably gets. Does Divine Shield... Is Divine Shield pass a problem? Because then the Megazord can trade into Tar Creep and that Murloc's still Divine Shield.
But then you have a Tar Creeper with Doomsayer behind it in the next turn.
No, because you're talking about you play the Tar Creeper.
What I meant is, if your opponent plays Megazord and just goes for Divine Shield,
Right, you put the... Yeah.
then he doesn't
That's
kill
true.
the Tar Creeper.
That's true.
And then next turn you have Doomsayer behind the Tar
Yeah,
Creeper.
the Tar Creeper's
and
still
that's
there.
almost
Yes.
unkillable,
Yeah.
right?
Okay. Well, Tar Creeper's still doing pretty well here. Just plus health with the Cold Light Seer. They kind of just trade in buffs. They're just friends, these two Murlocs.
So many cards did actually change in Hearthstone. Like War Leader doesn't get the HP buff anymore, which is a huge...
I mentioned in the last series, like, the days of Finger surviving a trade it shouldn't. Because War Leader buffs it out of range are long gone
That
now.
was crazy. When it comes to nerfs, like almost no one remembers that Twilight Drake was actually a completely different card. It was a 1/1 minion for 4 mana that gets +1/+1 for each card in your hand when you played it.
Remember those times you drop a 9 health Twilight Drake? That used to be a 9/9.
Yeah.
Mountain Giant, go away.
I remember playing the first tournaments in Mana Grind weeklies. We had like
They were like the original tournaments.
Yeah, that was 2013,
Yeah.
right after the release, and
Yep.
literally a week after the beta opening, we had tournaments with 70 people on the Swiss tournaments online in Mana Grind, and the meta was Twilight Drake back then, like Miracle Rogue with Twilight Drakes. That was the meta game choice.
So crazy. Well, dude, the second Doomsayer is going to be very nice. And now, Glaser must be feeling very comfortable right now. Dragon's Fury, Blizzard, Flame Strike, Polymorph. He does not have to let Bequiet have minions on the board for a very long time. And then at any time he feels he's got enough breathing room, Medivh, then Alana later on. Even if Alana drops 2 dragons.
That's good enough.
That's fine versus Murloc Paladin, right? You're not trying to do the massive... Say versus Warlock, you need to try and kill them the following turn. It's like, nope, just 2 dragons is enough.
Well, you could even let Finja kill something and draw the minions because you have the bolt kills, but you don't have anything to play.
I was going to say, what's really funny about Finja in this matchup...
Oh,
is that
okay. You have something.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say there's barely any minions that Finja can even realistically expect to trade into. Because you end up playing almost no minions, actually. It's kind of nuts.
The problem is Megazord can still happen. Megazord with Divine Shields is something that might be annoying, for the mage, since you don't really have mass polymorph to play around Divine Shield, so you have to deal the damage twice.
Yeah, I like the ping. I'm okay just saying, no, I'll just Flame Strike next turn, it's fine. Or at worst now, because of the buff, Blizzard into Flame Strike. Blizzard does would get rid of the Divine Shield as well. Ooh, plants though. Plants is going to be nice. Helps with that getting that Spike Ridge Steed live. Also, of course, the usual of if Tarim comes out, it can just be a lot of damage from nowhere. I think Blizzard's...
Is it Blizzard? It might be also just Violence Portal. And you kill the Megazord.
What to do? What to do?
You leave 6 damage on the board. You're at 20. You have a 5-drop on the board. If you go for the Blizzard, that doesn't really do much. Maybe even Flame Strike would have been better because you just leave Finja on board. That doesn't really do much. And
Dragon Fury might be better than both of those.
Well, you don't want to kill both Murlocs because then you spawn 4 minions on the board with the plants instead of just 2 with the Flame Strike. And then you can next turn ping into Dragonfire.
Going for a different route altogether, though. Removing Finja from the equation. Bringing down the Protector just to consider things like
This is
redemption.
an interesting line because you know your opponent is playing a lot of buffs. And that Polymorph would have been fantastic on any of those.
I will say we just sat and talked about potentially using every other spell in the hand, and none of them felt fantastic.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
the Polymorph at least removes Finja confusion.
Mm-hmm.
And this looks like a bit of a crazy push. Obviously, Glaser can buy time to a certain extent with this Blizzard and this AoE. But as you said, the death rattles are a little bit annoying.
Can't really kill the sheep because now there's so you can imagine a sheep riding a Stegodon.
That's scary. That is true Faye right there.
Scary image.
Because, I'll be honest, dinosaurs, if they were just walking around now, quite scary creatures, right?
Oh yeah.
If
definitely.
a sheep has tamed a dinosaur, how terrifying must that sheep be? That's my real question.
There was a movie about.
Yes, I know the one you think. Where
Probably was
where
one
they
of
kill
those.
Everyone.
Reporting for duty.
So that was a bad film. I actually did watch it.
Well, Glazer's at 4 HP. It doesn't look great.
Would have been worse if he was at 3. Mainly because that weapon needs to be answered. He does survive the weapon hit.
But there's still double death rattle.
And I'm calling how this game ends.
Please do.
Call to arms juggler for the 1.
Wait, is Bequiet playing Knife Jugglers?
Is he not?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
No.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he
Yeah,
is.
yes,
Right,
of course.
he is.
Yeah, you have to play juggler. I was like,
No, you don't have to. We had players in this tournament that did play Call to Arms Murloc Paladin without Knife Jugglers. Although
are they in the semi-finals, Lothar? That's my question. There you go.
All right. Well, this is Dragon Fury. It will generate minions on the board.
Okay, so how many? 4?
3.
Sorry, 4 power. Sorry, I meant 4 power.
Good save. Good save.
Thank you. I didn't mean 4 power at all.
But now the Tarim
Yeah.
puts
And,
a huge dent.
In the chances of Glaser going through to the finals, because that is going to be it. Bequiet gets there. Finally, with that Murloc pounding, got it through. A brave effort from Glaser, but I honestly believe that Bequiet's lineup has really threw a lot of people off in terms of their own lineups. I think every person I've seen Bequiet beat have been like, yeah, this was going to be a really hard matchup. And when all your opponents say that, you've done something right in terms of building your lineup.
I think the Big Priest is a fantastic metagame call.
Yeah.
It just has almost no bad matchups currently. I mean, in
Yeah,
this
it's kinda
tournament.
tough. Yeah.
When you